Good morning, happy Monday. Welcome to the Pitch Light Chronicles, where fans become family. I am Uncle Tats. I'm here with Rob and Donald, and here we are once again. Our all-star closer just cannot cannot finish off these big games. There was so much riding on sweeping that series.
I told you guys about that asshole.
No, because if we would have swept them, that it would have put us in line to actually take the season series overall. So now when they come to the Bronx, I think it's the second to last series of the year, we have to sweep them then. Otherwise, they have the tiebreaker. Now they just got to win one out of the three. Otherwise, it would have just been whoever won that season series. That series in September. So the collapse yesterday was not just another game in the loss column. There's a long-term repercussion for that fuck up. And the Yankees better hope that they don't need that game, because sweeping a team is hard. We say it doesn't matter who it is, whether it's Baltimore or Oakland. Sweeping a team is not as easy as it looks when you look, just going off of a roster. Things have to go your way. And everything was going our way until the ninth. We were down. You had the heroics from Rice, who Craig Kimbrell, why he threw him a fastball. Rice hasn't seen a fastball in days. Throws him a fastball, which Susan Waldman was hilarious about that. Because she was saying, as long as, just don't throw him the fastball. Rice is waiting for that fastball. Kimbrell throws a fastball. Susan's reaction is, weren't they looking at the stat sheet? Is this guy an idiot? She actually called Ken Kimbrell an idiot for throwing him a fastball. So, I mean, there really was a lot of entertainment around the series. I was in Baltimore for game 2. So was Jonathan. You got to hang out with him for a little while before the game. So that's always good when you get to hang out with some of the community. But when you look at the series overall, it ended. It's still stuck in our head the way it ended, but it really was a series win, which we haven't had in over a month, going into the All-Star break. So there has to be some way to nitpick ways to go into the All-Star break that we're in now with some positivity. Donald, what do you think?
Not from me. Not from me, I'm afraid. Teams that win World Series don't lose innings like that. Don't collapse like that. That's just a fact, guys. Teams that win World Series don't completely and utterly shit the bed after making a heroic comeback. That doesn't happen. It was a heroic comeback, which says a lot about the team, the mentality of the team, but also the meltdown says a lot about the mentality of the team too. That's what really concerns me. It's like there's a fight mentality. The team comes back a lot. That's a good thing to see. They don't give up. They make some great things happen. But then once they get themselves in a position to win, they shit all over themselves. And that inning was just that. They did everything they possibly could to melt down. Clay Holmes walked the entire ballpark. There wasn't a pitch near the strike zone. And then he actually did make one great pitch. He got out of the game. Unfortunately, Volpe screwed it up, and we're going to get into all that. But no, there's still positivity here, man. I mean, if we... I'd have been more positive had we not had that meltdown. Even if we erase the Ben Rice home run, and we were like, all right, we lost 3-2. I'd have been like, you know what? Still, we won 2 out of 3. It is what it is. But after that, and then you put yourselves up, and then you completely melt down because your all-star closer can't close anything, and then you've got your infielders making a bunch of mistakes, and you go Verdugo embarrassingly falling over. Now you're thinking, oh God, is this what we've got to look forward to the second half of the year? Because I think there's a mentality issue here. But I'll be interested to see what Rob's thoughts are.
Rob.
Yeah, that loss yesterday takes away from the first two games in a way. I'm not worried about the standings right now because we could easily have a different record than them. So that one game could matter, it could not, but you can't blow that. And that's the second time in the last calendar month that we've had a game like this where they just completely imploded in the ninth inning. So I don't know. I really don't know what to think about it. Between Volpe screwing up and Holmes' 2 4-pitch walks, you just can't have that. Although he did make 2 pitches to get out of that game. He made 2 pitches that would have gotten him out of his own jam, which is what you want a pitcher to do. But Verdugo tripping, misplaying the ball, then falling over and just kind of laying there is like a perfect example of the last month of Yankee baseball. That should be the snapshot of the first half because everything that went so well, we can't stop and think about how much better we would be had we not collapsed the way we have in several games this year. The Volpe play, I mean, he's been so good this year, but to have that happen in a spot like that, it makes you really worried because is he just like is he trying to rush himself? Is he nervous in big spots? You hope that's not the case, but there's just 3 things that went so wrong in that ninth inning between the closer, the shortstop, and the left fielder, and that's a complete implosion. And you almost wish that Rice didn't hit the home run because then it would have just been a regular loss and you'd been like Donald said, all right, we took 2 out of 3. We played them hard. We were in that game, just couldn't get the big hit, and we wouldn't have been talking about it yet another implosion. So it sucks, man. I really hate that we have to talk about this after what was a good series because the Yankees
really
played
was.
fantastic baseball for 2 games, and even for 8 innings yesterday, they were hanging in there. They were down. Canely gave up the go-ahead run, but what else is new? They hung in there, and it was a winnable game. And then you have a collapse like that, and you're just like, can this team get out of its own way? Because if they can, guess what? They're going to go very far. If they can't, they're not going to go very far. It's as simple as that. It's a very good team that has fought through, had a chance to really turn around after a terrible slump, go into the break with a sweep, with some heroics by their kid, and they just blew it. So it's a frustrating loss. It's been a season full of them now. A lot of our losses have been just like that, and it's happening far too often, and it really does make you wonder if now their approach to the deadline is not going to be just grab an arm, it's to grab a closer. Because can they keep relying on a Clay Holmes turnaround? I know it happened last year and the year before. He started well, hit the wall, pitched well. Can they rely on that happening again, or do they have to go get a closer? Because we can't have that in a ninth inning of a playoff game. You just can't have that.
Because when I was watching Clay Holmes melt down, and this was even before the run scored, when I was watching him throwing 4-pitch walks and loading the bases and I was thinking, is this who you want in the playoffs? Is this who you want in a 4-2 game in Game 6 of a World Series or Game 6 of an ALCS? Do you want this? You want this, you know? Garrett Cole gives you 7 innings of 1-run ball, and then you hand it off to Clay Holmes, and then you watch this shit. Do you want this in the playoffs? Because that's what you're gonna get. This is him. This is him, right? This is him. Sometimes he gets out of it. 8 times out of actually he has the most blown saves in the majors, but 7 times out of 10 he does tend to get out of it, but it's just you can't do this. You cannot do this. This is not all-star caliber. This is not what you cannot live like this if you're trying to get anywhere. You need to trust that if you've been given an excellent start or whatever, and you're in the playoffs and you're in the 9th inning, you need to trust that you got your guy that can give you 3 outs. That's it. And he can't do it. Clay Holmes cannot do it. He never could, and he never will. He never will. This is him. He's an 8th inning guy. If that. We need a closer. We absolutely need a closer, and now we've added another thing to worry about. That's why it was such a bad day yesterday. Because now we've added another thing to worry about. Not only do we probably need another power arm out of the bullpen, probably need a closer too. Now we need an infielder. There's things to worry about now.
Yeah,
As we didn't already have things to worry about. And then we got Rodon, who can't get into the 5th inning now. He can't even get. I don't want to hear about how he had a good start. It was a terrible start. He gave you 4 innings. You had to use up 100 pitches to go 4 innings. He had to bust his ass to get through 4 innings. He's getting paid like an ace, and he can't give you 4 innings without having been taken out. So now we've got another issue there too. So I'm starting to think that at this point, there's more problems that can be fixed at a trade deadline.
I mean, I want to bring up this comment here from Kenan. What's going on to everybody in the chat? Believe me, we are not ignoring you at all. We will get to a roll call in a minute after this. But Ken puts it, he has 21 saves, 6 blown, 4 because of errors. If you're gonna replace Holmes as the closer, then who? Well, for me personally, I don't think the closer for the second half is on the roster yet. I think that's what they're going to look at in the trade deadline. All right. Because it's also, they don't have long-term ties to Holmes. He's a free agent after this year. This is it for him. So, he has not had the right defense behind him to kind of maximize on his strength, which is, ground balls. He's not that strikeout closer. If that's what we need, then that's what we got to get. But I don't want to sit here and be like Holmes is the only, closer in the game that blows it. We just saw at the top of the night, freaking Kimbrel blow it. Who would you rather have? You really wouldn't. You know what I mean?
Probably Kimbrel.
But what I'm saying, the point of that, every closer is going to blow games. It's just, there's no perfect closer in baseball. But to our point, it's the games that he's blowing that are necessary for this team going forward. It's not just a standings thing. It's a confidence thing. There's no confidence with Holmes right now. It does nothing to do with his numbers. It's the mentality of the closer role.
Yeah, his numbers are actually
be more concerned.
His numbers are deceiving because he's actually getting very lucky in many ways, actually. Because look at his whip. His whip is 1.31. That is actually the highest it's ever been as a Yankee. In fact, it dates back. That's the highest whip that he's had since he was a Pirate. And what was his ERA when he was a Pirate? It was like 5. He's putting us in a lot of problems. When you have a whip that high, a whip higher than he is got innings pitched, that means that he's putting a lot of traffic on base. A lot of traffic. And this is the kind of stuff that happens. And also, Ken, you don't mention the fact that Juan Soto saved him in game 1 of the season when he threw that rocket to home plate to save a blown save. So yeah, you can blame errors, but also defense has saved him on a bunch of occasions. It's not just been an absolute meltdown around Clay Holmes. He has been saved. I can name Verdugo's made a bunch of saves off him. Grisham made a bunch of saves off him. And Juan Soto. So we've actually had outfielders making a ton of phenomenal plays. Or he'd have at least 10 blown saves by now.
Yep. And Spencer adds in, he's texting me and what's going on, Spencer, is what shakes his confidence with Holmes, and I think this is a really good point. He doesn't have those 1, 2, 3 innings. There's always somebody on base. That's a problem because now you're forcing your defense to have now they have to be perfect. And that's not what the closer role is for. You shouldn't have as much traffic, to contribute to the whip like he does. That's a problem. Or,
You were going to
Go
say
ahead,
something
Rob.
else?
No.
I thought you were going to say something. Oh, okay. No, because you said but, and then you just stopped talking. But there's a lot of issues with Clay Holmes. The defense hasn't helped him, but the defense has helped him, like Donald just said. First game of the season. He almost blew it. Actually, there were, I think, 2 times in that Houston series he got saved by the defense, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, he hasn't been the best this year, but then he was on that stretch where you couldn't score a run against him. So that's the thing with Clay Holmes is you've seen the good and you've seen the bad, but his issue is when he's really good, it's like it's the same thing 2 years ago. He was an all-star 2 years ago. He was unhittable, and he was doing stuff that hadn't been done since Rivera. And we're like, oh my God, we got our closer. What a steal. And then he was useless. And they had to take him out of the closer role for a couple of weeks. And then he was actually much better down the stretch. And in the postseason, he was really good that year. Same thing last year. And then this year, it's the same thing. It's like this year, he was literally the best closer in baseball for like a good month almost. He had an ERA of 0. Nobody else had an ERA of 0. And then over his last 15 or so appearances, he's been getting lit up, and he got saved in Tampa Bay. It wasn't a save situation, but he almost blew it in the 8th inning. And then yesterday he ended up blowing. It was
insane play in center field to save him.
It was a combined effort to blow that game yesterday by 3 different people. Clay Holmes himself by giving up the first base runner, gets a base hit, then the 2 4-pitch walks, and then the defense. Now, I don't want to put too much on Verdugo. I know he's in a slump and he had a terrible play. He owned up to it. Now we're seeing people saying, this is why we should have never traded for him. Oh, you got someone here. Go back to Boston. Boston fans are like, see, I'm glad this is the real player. A month ago, we were barking like dogs for this guy. We were saying how good of a trade it was. Let's not do this to every player that has a slump. It's not fair. Verdugo brought a lot of energy to this team. I know it was a terrible mistake. It was a bad play. It looked foolish. It looked funny. It looked comical. But at the very least, he owned up to it immediately. He didn't try to make an excuse. He didn't go say, oh, I lost it in the sun. He said, I made a bad read. That's on me. And he was mad. He was mad because he cost the team, in his mind, he cost the team the game. Now, in the stat sheet, it might show that he did, but there were so many other things that happened in that 9th inning that you can't say it was all Verdugo's fault. You can put it on Volpe. You could put it on the closer himself. So it was a combined effort to lose that game. And do I think Verdugo should be the everyday left fielder when Dominguez is healthy? Probably not, but the Yankees aren't just going to let him go because he's had a rough go at it. They shouldn't bat him in the middle of the order, that much I will say. He looked much more comfortable at the top of the order, but Aaron Boone in his infinite wisdom says, change it up again. So I think you leave him at the top of the order. He seems to be a lot more comfortable there. He's not a middle of the order bat. He was when Stanton and Rizzo were hitting behind him. He's not when he's got Torres and whoever the fuck else behind him. Put him at the top of the order in front of Soto and Judge and see if that works. I don't want to give up on Verdugo because he was playing so well for such a long period of time. I know these last few weeks have been bad, but the way that people are treating him after we were barking like dogs for this guy. You know how stupid we were sounding when we were all going woof 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 in celebration of Verdugo, and now he's a bum. Send him back to Boston. Oh, it was a terrible trade. This is Brian Cashman at his best. It was a steal of a trade, but now he has one bad play, and it's everyone's like, this is why you should have had some buyer beware. Come on. It was let's see how the rest of it plays out.
We had a whole segment on the show debating on whether we should keep him or not.
Yeah, you're right. We did.
Right.
So, yeah, are we pissed off at him? Are we frustrated with the way that everything went down? Absolutely. But let's not, like Rob said, the biggest thing with an athlete is their mentality and their confidence. The athleticism and the natural talents come with that. But if you're not a confident athlete or you don't have that positivity, then you're screwed. It doesn't matter how much talent you have. You're not going to be able to put it to fruition. Verdugo is one of those guys, a very positive player. And we all.
Tats, John the Beagle Dan has a really interesting
Okay.
post here. I don't like where Boone played Verdugo. Why play so far in on 2 outs? Should have been back further. Manager decision. Thoughts?
That's a very good take on that. Yeah, he probably should have. There should have been like a no doubles defense, shouldn't there?
Well, with 2 outs, there's no reason for him to be playing shit. There's
You're
actually no
me a
reason
square
for him
ass. You spell the word ass right. Come on. You call me a square ass. Spell it right. What you using these for? Mr. Met.
But like, there's
come on.
no reason to be playing shallow.
Yeah, I don't. I mean,
that's a good point. That's a good point.
It is a good point.
Rob, what do you think?
It wasn't a good read. First of all, he was too far in, especially with 2 outs, because anything can happen. There's so much to pick apart about that inning. That the way that bottom of the 9th went. Ausmus sets the defense in. Maybe blame Brad Ausmus. He's kind of been a.
Does Ausmus set the defense? I didn't even know that. Shouldn't the manager be doing that shit?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the Yankees do in the dugout.
Or is it because of that new wall pushback? It just looks like he was that far in. I don't know.
No, he was too far in for sure.
I was listening. I was at work yesterday listening on the radio, so I didn't have the visual of the play.
Well, we know Mullins is struggling right now, but he does have really good power, and he has beaten the Yankees up in the past, so you should still account for what he's able to do at the plate despite his struggles. Maybe just a few feet back and he makes that play easily. That could have made the difference there.
Mm-hmm.
Look, at the end of the day, he was positioned wrong. He took a bad read on it, and the first thing he did was he went and stood in front of the cameras. But let's kill him for that. It's if we want to give credit to every other player that does it, saying, all right, at least they owned up to it, and you got to give him the same treatment, whether he's here for a year or he's been a lifetime Yankee. So it shouldn't have even gotten to Verdugo in the first place. So let's not all just go and attack Verdugo. If Volpe doesn't bobble the ball, we're not even talking about the defensive alignment with Mullins at the plate because it never happens. So there was a whole train of things that happened. So it's not just one person to blame. There's actually 3. It's Holmes, Volpe, and Verdugo. Those 3 blew the save, not the pitcher. It was the pitcher, the infield, and the outfield defense. So I can't put it all on one person. That was a collaborative effort to blow that game.
And that's what worries me, because it doesn't matter what sport you're in. It doesn't matter who you root for. If your team finds ways to lose, they will not succeed. It doesn't matter which team you root for. Rob and I have the experience of watching the Giants, and they've made an almost university degree out of finding ways to lose over the last 10 decades. So it doesn't matter which sport. If your team finds ways to lose, then they will not succeed. And that is what is worrying me about this Yankee team, because as talented as they are finding ways to lose rather than finding ways to win. And they've been doing that since June. Since the start of June, they've been finding ways to lose. And finding creative ways to lose. And that's what worries me. When you find creative ways to lose, it starts to flag to me that there is a mentality issue here. Volpe not moving his feet worries me. Why did he not move his feet in such a big spot? Is the spot too big for him? That concerns me. Clay Holmes coming in with a 2-run lead in the bottom of the 9th, and he found a way to give it up. That concerns me. Is that spot too big for him? It worries me that these guys found a way to lose rather than find a way to win. And so when I saw Aaron Boone afterwards, and he was so happy, he was so positive, it's like, bro, you cannot be positive in that. Because that inning speaks far more than the 2 games prior. It does, in my opinion, because you don't find ways to lose. You can lose, of course. Everybody loses, but when you find creative ways to lose,
then there's a problem.
when you clutch defeat from the jaws of victory, that is when I start to worry, and now I'm very worried about that.
It's also the optic of how the first half ends. You know, because now we have to sit with not only do we have to sit with it in our heads of like we were really close to going into the All-Star break just riding high, sweeping the Orioles who have dominated dominated us for a couple of years now. The up and coming team. I said for a while, and everyone's like, nah, it's the Orioles. I'm like, they have a good core coming up, and they're here. So now the Yankees have to match that. Now we get to go into the All-Star break with the image of Verdugo tripping over himself.
Yes, that's not a great way.
And not only do we have to sit with that, so do the players.
Yep.
Well, hopefully they turn it around. Again, it sucks that we did blow it. It sucks that it ended the way it did, but we did get a series win against these guys finally on their turf after a tough series against Tampa. So one more out, and we're talking about a sweep. It's just a damn shame that it happened the way it did, and it happened again because it's been multiple times now. I'm hoping they take this All-Star break to really take a deep look at this roster and a deep look at the way they operate, because let's not forget how they treated one of their top prospects this weekend. An absolute shit show.
I want you to get into that.
How do you call him up to sit him on the bench? Like, you're telling me you couldn't have played him 2 out of 3 days? At least? What the fuck is DJ LeMahieu in the lineup for every day? You finally benched him yesterday for Cabrera, and I know Cabrera had a decent day, but whatever. You couldn't have played him? Why not call up Peraza and just sit him? What was the point of wasting Vivas, who could have had 3 more days of at-bats in AAA? Instead, you come bring him up, he gets the call of a lifetime, you're going to the big leagues, kid, to sit on the bench? What the hell are we doing? Why do we do this to every prospect, with the exception of like 2? We didn't do it to Volpe, we didn't do it to Dominguez, and luckily we kind of did it to Rice at the start, but how do we keep doing this? What the hell do you have to learn anymore about DJ LeMahieu? He is washed. He's done. He's a utility player off the bench. He's a defensive replacement late in the game. You can't play him every day. And we saw it watching the game live the other day. We saw it in the first game. He batted leadoff somehow and went 0 for 5. Had some of the worst at-bats you'll ever see. The dude's OPS is below 500. He can't hit anymore. And you're putting him at 9, then you're putting him at 1. Pick a spot for him, first of all, or just don't use him. You call up Vivas for no reason. 0 reason to do that. And it was a damn shame. I feel so bad for him, because he probably thought, I'm going to get a little trial run. 3 days worth of exposure at the big leagues. And he didn't even, exactly, Joan, he didn't even know what the role was going to be. How do you call up a player if you know that Davis is going to be on the IL for some magical stomach bug that keeps him out for a week? Why not call up Peraza just to sit him? Why would you call up Vivas, who actually might have a future here? The Yankees have shown their feelings about Peraza. He's probably done here. Why not just call him up, sit him on the bench, use him as a pinch runner late in the game like they always do? What was the point of that? It was just so annoying, because I was so happy when I got the notification. I'm like, finally, they're making a move. We're going to get to see him for a few days, and probably post-break, they'll give him a trial run, see if, just exactly what I was saying, see what you have in the farm before having to make a trade. And they send him right back down after the series in favor of J.D. Davis. So here we go. They play DJ LeMahieu over him, and they're going to keep J.D. Davis over him. That is exactly what this organization keeps doing that we're so sick of.
That was a disgrace, man. It was such a fucking disgrace. It reminded me exactly of when we first called up Peraza a couple of years ago, and we were all excited because he was our top prospect. And Aaron Boone was asked what his role was, and he was like, I'm not sure, it's fluid. And then he never played. And that's exactly what happened with Vivas. Just go by what Aaron Boone says. If he ever uses the word "it's fluid," it means that he's not going to be used. What was the point in calling him up? You could have just used an extra bullpen arm. You could have gotten some AN other from AAA to sit in the bullpen as an extra insurance in the bullpen. If that's what you're going to do, if that's what you're going to do to Vivas, what was the point? What, just so that he gets the magical experience of playing batting practice before the game for 3 days? Just for that magical experience? Is that going to teach him how to play in the majors? By some batting practice before a game? If he gets that? Or just by warming the bench, just being around the aura of Aaron Judge for 3 days? Is that suddenly going to make him more prepared than he was had he just had an extra 3 days in AAA? That's a terrible look. It's a terrible look for the organization. It made no sense at all. Be better.
No,
and the fact that we're already using Peraza as this person, or you know what? Why don't we just call it Peraza at that point, just to sit on the bench? The fact we're doing that to Peraza is a disgrace.
Yeah.
It's like Peraza's been treated like this freaking homeless dude from San Francisco. Oh, he's just, you know what I mean? He's just landed in our bench. Oh, here we are. Oh, we're just going to treat him like nothing. These are top prospects. What are we doing with these people? Come on. You gotta have something better than that. You gotta have a plan. There's no plan. No, it just really upsets me, and it's really stupid as well. And it's also unfair on the young kid because you saw the Yankee social media team welcome him. Congratulations to Yorvin Vivas being called up to the major leagues. Never fucking saw him for 3 fucking days. What was the point? Just to sit there? I mean, it's a terrible look. No excuses. None.
I've been screaming about, we all have, if you're going to have ground ball pitches in your pen, you need to emphasize your defense. Here you have Vivas getting a chance. You don't know what kind of, one going into the series, you didn't know the momentum, which way it was going to go. So even before the series is even played, you see the lineup with DJ leading off, and you go, and right then and there, I'm like, this is going to be interesting. And they were able to get the win, awesome. But the fact that this is a guy that we've been waiting, saying, give these kids a chance. And they bring these kids up, and like we've been saying, they yankified them. Welcome to the club, Vivas. You've been yankified.
You've been yankified.
Because all they're going to do is just give you a set of pom-poms, like they said in the chat, and just say, just smile and nod that you're here. You're lucky.
Yeah, that's it.
You're lucky to be, you're lucky to be a Yankee, but you're not lucky enough to get on the field. I mean, come on, that I wonder why these kids, they have no confidence in themselves. That's why you don't have a confident ball club, because you're not putting your best foot forward. You're not putting your best players on the field. You're too busy worrying about hurting somebody's fucking feelings.
If they thought Vivas was not ready, why did you call him up in the first place?
There was nobody else on the roster that was ready.
Exactly. You could have used anybody from AAA, a quadruple A player, if that's what your plan was, to not use them.
Even in the second game. I mean, you get, how was that? You guys were doing a live stream. It was a lot of fun. And I actually had to jump into shit, even though I couldn't hear a freaking thing anybody was saying, with the stream. But I'm like, I had to throw in the comment. I'm like, DJ's even worse in person. He looks like he came out of retirement just to fill a roster spot. I'd rather see Brett Gardner. Might as well give him a fucking shot. He could probably play better. He could probably still give you a better at bat than LeMahieu right now.
Probably.
I mean, stop abusing.
Probably worse. He got 0 home runs. and we're already we're played 100 games.
Yeah, he can't hit more than a single. He can't elevate the ball, but yeah, let's put him lead off. I don't get it. I really don't. Are they that fucking stubborn in that? Yeah. I mean, here
Yes.
we are. We came into the season. We thought we were seeing a whole new organization. Are they what they were for the first month and a half, or the second month and a half? Who is this club?
The answer's
What
in
is
between.
this team? That's the question I'm asking myself this entire All-Star break. Which team are we getting back next week?
Guess we'll wait and see. But should we move on to the awards?
Yes, let's get some.
I think to answer Tad's question, I think it's always in between. That's usually the safest way to put it. You know what I mean? We're not nearly as good as we look when we win, and nearly as bad as we are when we lose. It's usually in between. But I don't think it's enough to be overly optimistic about right now. Let's be honest. So that's where I'm at. But yeah, let's get into the awards. Damn, I am pissed. Pissed. Yeah, right. Okay, let's get through some of the positive stuff first before we get into rant mode. Let's start with the MVP. I'm too pissed to even think about who the MVP is right now, so I'm going to ask Rob first.
I got Aaron Judge. They didn't want to pitch to him. They were afraid of him, and twice this series he took them absolutely deep. So the captain, who was getting criticized by somebody in our chat, I'm giving it to him.
Tats.
I had Judge, and he was lethal this series. As much as I was like, yeah, why are they just having him DH? Well, I was worried that it was going to take him too out of his rhythm of not playing every day. But man, his every at bat was he wasn't making anything easy on anybody, and he was very productive at the plate. So he got the MVP.
Yeah, he was never actually out. He was always on base. So yeah, I think it's actually pretty fair. We'll give it to Judge too. Let's ask the fans. Everybody says Judge. Well, it's nice and easy. Good job, guys. Right, so across the board. Nice job to start with. Let's go with the low key. Start with Tats.
The low key, I had Grisham. You know, I think he actually put a really good series together. Even watching some of the interactions in the dugout. You know, he was kind of like that little, the guy walking up and down, rallying everybody up. He was hyped up. He was into it. And he put it together at the plate. So you're seeing what he should be when a manager actually uses a player properly and gives him playing time. You're seeing a different Grisham than we have over the last few weeks. So while he's in the lineup and he's producing, I'm going to give him credit for it. So I gave the low key to Grisham.
He actually played very, very well yesterday. He was great yesterday. Rob.
I was trying to think of picking just one between him and Soto, and I like Tats' answer a lot, so I'm going to steal it. I'm going with Grisham. We've given Soto so many awards. I think it's one series he can not get one, right? He played great, but Grisham was great offensively and defensively.
Yep.
The guy was gliding out there. We talked about it all throughout the stream the other day. He makes it look so easy in center field, and that's why he's here. Still don't think he should play every day, but hey, he came through in a big spot multiple times yesterday. Home run, tied the game as well. Got on base to start the ninth inning. I believe it was him, and then Cabrera got on. So, hey, hats off to Trent Grisham. Give him some credit.
That's a good shout. I'm going to give it to Austin Wells. The 3-1 home run.
That's a good
one. He caught a very, very good series. He clearly showed that he's the best catcher and not Trevino. And so I hate to say it, but I'm very, very glad that we're going to get to see a lot of Wells because that's a good thing. And he played very well for me. I thought he caught well. I thought he largely kept the running game in check. There wasn't too many steals going on, and and I felt that 3-run home run was so important in Game 2. That's why we won the game. So I'm gonna give him the award. Good job from Wells. Really happy to see him do well. There's a nice mixture though. Joan says Grisham. Stevie B says Soto. FJ says Ben Rice. Mr. Barrow says Grisham. Jared Williams Volpe. I'm sure he's doing that ironically. There
hope
can't
so.
be a way that makes it ironically. So we will give the answer to, what do you think? Between Grisham and Soto right now. I would say probably Grisham. Grisham gets the award.
A couple Ben Rice's in there, which is deservable.
Let's go with the Clutch Award. I'm going to start with Ben Rice. That's the definition of clutch. That is the definition of clutch. When you hit an unbelievable home run like that, to turn it around and put the Yankees in a position to win, that's the very definition of clutch. That's why there's an award. So he gets that award. Ben Rice. 100%. Rob.
Yeah, I just want to answer Joan real quick. I saw your comment about the draft picks. I'm sure next episode we'll get more on that since there's nothing else to talk about. So don't worry. I will be doing that stuff. Yeah, it's Ben Rice. It's Ben Rice. That was a huge hit despite the loss. That kid comes up in big moments. He keeps doing it.
He does.
For me, I have two for the clutch. Right, I have Ben Rice for the playing. I mean that home run yesterday, well, you said it perfectly. That's the definition of a clutch player. Wondering when you're going to get that next fastball, and when you get it, you don't miss it. That's clutch. The other clutch award is going to all the fans that traveled. I mean, I was at the game, this game 2, with a bunch of friends. Both my sons got to hang out with Jonathan, like I said earlier. That stadium, it was right back to the old days where we used to call it Yankee Stadium South. It was that. There were Yankee fans everywhere. We took over that stadium, and part of the outfield even did a mini roll call.
Oh, that's cool.
So clutch to the fans that, especially after the first game with the brawl, to then be like, all right, road trip, and they went. So big clutch to the fans for rolling up.
That's a good call, Uncle T. Right, let's ask the fans. What are we saying here?
It's all Rice.
Rice and Soto, a lot of Rice. Jared says Rice. Well, that's easy. Nice job.
Senor Aros.
Spencer's got Rice for that.
And Spence, good job. Okay, so that's the Clutch Award. Okay, let's one more positive award. We'll go with the Pitching Award.
I had Heel. I thought Heel pitched a really good game. I think he's going into the break with a lot of confidence. So I went with Heel.
Rob?
As much as I love Heel, give me Garrett Cole. I needed that from my ace. I needed that, and the Yankees needed that, and he needed that. Garrett Cole had his best start since coming off the IL against the best team in the American League. That's not the New York Yankees. He needed that. On the road against that lineup, boy, he pitched his ass off, and I'm hoping it's a good sign of things to come for him in the second half because we need the ace in this pitching rotation, 1,000% to be the ace because we're not getting it from any other spot. So welcome back, Garrett Cole. It was nice to see you.
Yeah, I was on the fence, so I gave it because I know in the second half there's going to be a lot of Coles. So this might be the last one that Heel gets to get.
Cole was electric. He was amazing, but I'll give it to Heel. Heel blew me away. His stuff blew me away. Cole's stuff was great, but Heel stuff was even better. His slider was frightening. He was just mowing guys down. And what he did on the mound was amazing because we called the game. So we obviously Rob and I were really paying attention to that stuff. And I thought his stuff was absolutely magnificent and a huge spot. So I'm giving Heel the award. But I'm very, very glad to see Garrett Cole pitch like the ace that he is. And I'm sure we'll see that the rest of the way, without doubt, Tats, as you say. Good mixture between Cole and Heel for the fans. It looks like Heel has like one more vote, but it's very, very close.
This is definitely one of those. It's not an easy choice.
No, it's and both were phenomenal. Both were magnificent. Mr. Barros has made sure that
He's got his.
He's been waiting for the one moment that he can actually vote for Heel.
It was tight. That's the pitching award. Now let's get to the fun stuff. Let's get to Aaron Boone, my favorite guy in the world. Aaron Boone, rating out of 10. Let's go with Rob.
We did win the series. I can't put that ninth inning too much on him because you put your closer out there in your hopes that he's going to get out of it. You maybe could think about taking him out, but who else is available? You already used Tonkin and Weaver. Because we won the series, I'm going to go right over the middle line. I'm going to give him a 6. Although not playing Vivas really did bother me, but 6.
Ken has him 10 out of 10.
Who? Wow. I don't see it. But hey, that's how you feel.
I have no words, but I'm going to choose them carefully. Uncle Tats.
I also have him at a 6 out of 10. It would have been higher because we did win the series. But not playing Vivas, leading off LeMahieu. I just think that, I wasn't too thrilled about the lineups. And I don't want to give him a failing grade because of how he just doesn't utilize his players properly, but we did. We won the series, so I gave him a 6 out of 10.
And Rob, I was so distracted by Ken giving him 10 out of 10, I forgot what did you give him, 7 or 6?
I gave him a 6.
6. Yeah. Okay. It's a tough one. It's actually a tough one because the mentality was generally good. They showed a lot of fight. There was a lot more energy. That was really good to see. They came back from behind. That was good to see. So there was actually some positives there. He didn't make anything horrific happen out there. His bullpen decisions were largely good. It's just it's not his fault that his closer sucks. You can only use the hand that you've been dealt. But when you have Vivas there and you're pissing around with DJ LeMahieu, I'm going to have him lead off today. For what reason? Oh, I'm going to have Verdugo lead off today, but I'm going to have him back clean up tomorrow. For what reason? Why is Vivas called up in the first place? All that stuff speaks to a big issue there. And the fact that they shit all over themselves again. And Aaron Boone was just like, oh, we've got so much to be happy about. Yay! We're turning a corner, everybody. We're turning a corner. For just him saying we're turning a corner and for him saying, oh, it's right there in front of us. Dude, you're not AC/DC. Stop using your greatest hits. For fuck's sake. You're a manager. If you see a team melt down, be honest. I'm sick of that shit. Sick of it. I'm giving him a 4 out of 10. Let's go with the fans. Stevie says 5.
Well, I'm going to bring this comment back up while we break down the chat's responses. But yeah, and that's one of the things that Rob pointed out. He did not grade Boone based on the ninth inning because everything was in place for your closer to come in, and that's what Boone did. So what? Yeah, we know. I don't know if you caught the beginning of the show, but we actually broke down the ninth inning for a little while, going into all the different variables and scenarios that led to the outcome.
Absolutely. There was nothing that he did that put the team in a bad spot. But I need to see more from my manager when you have gut-wrenching defeats. I want him to be a little bit more honest rather than wave your pom-poms. I don't need pom-poms. Not after that. But there wasn't a move that he did that was particularly wrong. So you're not wrong at all there. Let's get into the fun stuff. Let's get to the L.
You're all good, Consigliere. We got you. All right, the L. I have Volpe. Yeah, you were able to go right to the right for the out, sweep the series, and couldn't do it. So Volpe gets the L.
Oh God, for sure, Rob.
I couldn't pick one. I said it earlier. It's a collective effort. So for one day only, I'm calling them the Three Stooges. Holmes, Volpe, and Verdugo all get it. They all contributed to that loss.
A really good point.
I usually like to keep it at one, but Verdugo had a fucking ass of a series. He was completely ass. Couldn't get on base to save his life yesterday. And then the horrible, horrible play in the outfield. It was pathetic. But then you got Volpe, who's been ass for so long. Absolute ass from him too. And then there's DJ LeMahieu, who's been completely and utterly, unequivocally ass. So you could have a trifecta there. In fact, I think I will go with that trifecta. I'm going to go with a trifecta of DJ LeMahieu, Anthony Volpe, and Verdugo. That's another Three Stooges right there. The Three Amigos of ass. The Three Amigos of ass. Right. Let's go with the Aaron Hicks Award. And there's a lot of fucking candidates there as well. Let's start with
yeah. Now, I gave Volpe the L, but I'm giving Holmes the Hicks Award. You cannot put your team in that position. The walks, it's not the first time. You're not learning from your mistakes. You're not making the inning adjustments from batter to batter. Holmes is just I can't. I like the kid. I know the number. He made the All-Star team. It's. I don't think he should have, but when you look at the other closers, Holmes is right. He did have, like we said earlier, he had a phenomenal ERA. He had a 0 ERA for the first month. So, but I want that guy back, and it's got to be Holmes. There's no other person.
Bro.
See, Holmes could get it, but he was also perfect in his first game of the series, which was funny because you're seeing the duality of the guy. He was great in his first game and then terrible yesterday. There's so many options here. You can give it to the manager of the Orioles for starting a fight for no reason. You can give it to the Orioles fans for calling the Yankees classless, despite they're the ones that are asking for Judge to take one in the head or hit Soto next game. They're showing their true colors, like that one dude who looks like a pineapple head on Twitter. But you know what? I'm giving this to a Yankee because DJ LeMahieu is the absolute worst of the worst. The guy did absolutely nothing this entire series. His defense wasn't good. His offense is absolutely terrible. And the fact that he was batting leadoff and then batted ninth, whatever it was, he got 2 starts in this series over one of their top hitting prospects is absolutely disgusting. and I'm sick of seeing him. So I'm gonna give it to DJ. He's just useless right now. You can't be making $15 million and having an OPS of like 460. You just can't do it.
No argument there. No fucking argument there. And I'm wearing a DJ LeMahieu shirt today just for fun. I'd never dare wear it in public. So when I go to a Yankee game next week, there's not a hope in hell I'm going to wear this in fucking public. So let's get to the Aaron Hicks Award for me, and I am giving it to another definition of this award. Clay motherfucking Holmes. I am so sick of you, bro. I want you out of this fucking team. Whatever it takes. I can't stand him. I can't stand the look of him. He is not a closer. He is not a closer. He's certainly not an all-star. He's an all-star of the beer league Jersey softball team, but he's not a fucking closer in the major leagues. And he's certainly not an all-star. Maybe be an all-star in the softball league, but he ain't a fucking all-star in the major leagues. There's no fucking way, man. And I am tired of it. That dude can't get anybody out. And he's just an embarrassment. Dude almost took a guy's head off in the first game. Let's not forget that. I mean, I'm so glad that guy's okay. But, I mean, he's still in the IL for concussion. The dude almost took a guy's head off. And I'm not saying he did it deliberately, but it was fucking dangerous. Because he's got no control. He's got zero control. And then yesterday is case in point why he cannot be a closer in the playoffs. And he's just not it. He's just not it. And any fan who said to me that he's Mariano Rivera, you all can take the L. You all can take the L. He's not Mariano Rivera. He's not a closer, and he sure as fuck isn't an all-star. Blew another game. Blew another series. I am absolutely tired of it. I said it at the start of the year. I said this guy is going to blow games this year. I said at the start of the year, he's like, he cannot be our closer. It's going to happen. He's going to start off hot, and then he's going to melt down. And what did he do? Because he's been doing it for 3 prior years. But the problem here is that the New York Yankees want to be smarter than everybody else. They're like, we found ourselves this guy who had a 5 ERA in Pittsburgh. We've turned him around. Now he's amazing. Now he's got this turbo sinker. He's the best. We're going to ride him like Seabiscuit all the way. And that's what they've been doing. And they completely ignore all the evidence that this guy can't handle big spots. He can't handle pressure spots. But we have to gargle on his turbo sinker. I don't give a fuck about his turbo sinker if he can't throw it for strikes. Throw it for strikes or get the fuck off my team.
I'm digesting all this. This is you brought up with the game one with the hitting in the head, because eventually my Hicks Award went to Brandon Hyde for charging out after that. Like, let the players police themselves. The manager should stay in the dugout. And then, in Holmes fashion, he just comes in and just saves the day and takes all the heat for himself. But
you know what? I can't blame the Orioles, man. I know I sound crazy, but I'm not a biased Yankee fan. If I saw my player get hit square in the head, I'd be pissed too. Now, I'm not saying I know that Holmes didn't do it deliberately. I know no. There was an accident, but he just doesn't have any control. It was also raining, and it slipped out of his hand. But again, it's a mixture of having zero control and it raining and it going straight for somebody's head. If I was the manager of the Orioles, I would be running out there and I would have some things to say. I absolutely would. I would. And it's not just because I hate Clay Holmes, but I would, because I think it's really dangerous and that's not good. You don't want that. You don't want anybody being hit in the head. That's just terrible, 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 terrible stuff. So yeah, I don't blame him. I don't blame Orioles fans for being pissed.
No, it's a sight you never want to see.
No,
And he's in his concussion protocol. He is moving around. He just has to wait X amount of days to.
They actually inserted him in the lineup, but he was not able to do it,
No,
and they had to IL him. So obviously, it hit him pretty hard, and that's why these kind of things can't happen.
yeah, it's at least he's going to be okay. He's going to recover. He'll be back in their lineup, sooner rather than later. And so hopefully he doesn't have, because he's a promising kid. So I'm just going to say, I hope he doesn't end up. I just hope he doesn't end up like Clint Frazier, where he's just not the same player after that, with the concussion. So I'll just leave that at that. What?
I completely agree with Jared there.
Orioles are no, but that's what I'm saying. I'm not mad that there was a brawl on the field. It was exciting, but let the players start. The manager should not have been the first one out of the dugout. It's that's just me. If the players charged out and then Hyde was behind them, go ahead. But let the players police themselves. We don't need the manager starting fights.
Dude, it sounds like a dog kennel in your house.
Yeah, it's my son just dropped off his dog. So
holy crap!
What?
Well, for our Wednesday show, we should definitely break down the draft. So we'll do a little homework. I'll ask Rob to do a little bit of homework on this guy. A couple of reaches, but a couple of surprises in there. But we'll see if it pans out. We'll ask Rob what his thoughts are. And also, I'm thinking on Wednesday we do our half-season awards. We can compile what we've had so far and come up with who's winning. We could do that for Wednesday. So I'll do some homework on that for our next episode. And for any of you guys that may be going to some Yankee home games, I'm going to Yankee Stadium next weekend. So good stuff.
That's awesome. No, we're definitely looking forward to seeing you back in the States. But that being said, just remember, guys, hit that like button, hit that sub button, share this out, friends, your family. The Stinger's on the corner. This has been another great show on the Pinstripe Chronicles, where fans become family, and you see it in the chat. This is one big family. So make sure you hit that sub button, and we will be back Wednesday morning, 10 a.m., live as always. As I always say, with those pinstripes of pride, and play hard.
Play harder than the Yankees do.